Digital Week. I'm Monica Bradley, and today we're exploring the future of retail, Retail 5.0, checking out the future. And joining me in the studio, Professor Marek Kowalkiewicz.
Welcome, Monica.
How are you? And of course, the wonderful Professor Michael Roseman.
Monica, lovely to see you.
We're unpacking. The shopping trolleys are full, the carts are ready, we're about to take off. So, Marek, tell us about why is the future of Retail 5.0 important?
It's interesting. So there's a lot of changes happening in retail, and if you try to look up a standard textbook definition of retail, it starts with words that say retail is the sale of goods at relatively low quantities for consumptions rather than resale. Now, when you think about the definition, there are some major changes happening. We're not only talking about sale anymore. People, the customers of retailers, often pay for products that they don't own afterwards. So I'm thinking about digital products such as ebooks or music, which effectively you rent rather than owning. And in the same spirit, it's not only goods anymore, but often you pay for services that have the same qualities of goods. So imagine, paying for access to a city bike. It's almost like your own bike, though it's not yours, and it's really a service that you're paying for. So it's not a sale of goods anymore, just that. But
so you're
much
saying
more.
the future of retail has profoundly changed.
Yep.
If we talk to Michael, the 5.0 expert, what does 5.0 mean for retail?
So 5.0 in general for us means different maturity stages of an industry. So if you
Maybe refresh us on 1.0.
That's right. So if you go back to the retail sector, the first department stores were created more than 300 years ago. So 1.0 is really when the industry emerges, when we have the first business model, the first understanding of retail could be viable. Nothing is streamlined. We just get our hands around the mechanics. 2.0 is when we want to become more efficient. Economies of scale matter. We look into production and productivity gains. And so that's when
So maybe chains became a part. So brands that had multiple locations, they got efficiencies.
So in other words, you understand your trade, and when you understand the basic trade of buying, storing, selling, then you work out on how can I do this more effectively. The third stage is think Henry Ford. When it's not just about manually improving it, but when you really think, what could I do and automate?
So like the industrialization.
That's right. That's the industrialization of an industry. And you see this in banking and insurance, in manufacturing, of course, but also in retail. When it becomes asset intensive, when you automate, and you bring the first benefits of IT and mechanical engineering to an industry. That, of course, unlocks entire new economies of scale.
And this is also where e-commerce was born, so it's also about internet shopping, right?
Well, 3.0 is maybe more still B2B. It's really like concepts in the retail sector around supply chain management, efficient consumer response. This is when retailers would upload sales data and the manufacturer would respond. A lot of behind the curtain.
Had things like EDI. Remember that?
Right.
It was like early days. It's like having a Nokia phone, right?
And so characteristic here was what we call behind the plastic door, behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Typically invisible to the consumer.
Yeah, I agree, yes.
It would make its way through the kind of very effective pricing strategy. Walmart, Aldi are nice examples. You optimize behind the plastic door. As a consumer, you get low prices.
So very below the line innovation.
Correct.
All
very
about efficiency,
very
effectiveness,
important.
and price.
And retail has some brilliant examples. 4.0 is when you then touch the final consumer. So instead of B2B as a focus, B2C becomes the focus. This is when really e-commerce kicks in, online shopping, the first loyalty programs kick in. So 4.0 is what we observe in many industries. This is the digitization. When apps occur, it's really about the automation of how I and the consumer interact.
It's also mass personalization, right? The first steps of it, right?
Correct. Recommender systems kick in. We get insights into your life. You're willing to share data. This is what we observe right now. It's
so
the
this
history
is the 5.0.
in the making.
5.0 is about the 4. Okay.
So 4.0 is digitization.
Yeah.
But it's still, to a large extent, the old model. I'm the retailer, you come to me, we just streamline access, and we give you multiple channels, whether it's Facebook or the app. But in the end of the day, it's me running the show, you come to me, and you take part in my life. It's just I give you a lot of digital options.
Right, it's all about me.
Correct. 5.0 is all about you. 5.0 is finally all about us and the consumer.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So instead of the center of attention being the retailer, it's the consumer.
Okay. I'm in the headspace
So that's
now.
the sort
I've
of
got
idea.
The
We call
5.0.
this then individualization.
So, Marek, the group at the PwC Chair on the Digital Economy has authored an awesome report, I have to say. I love your reports because they're not academic, they're actually quite practical. So, as a practitioner out there working with business and reinventing startups, I can actually pull things out of it and activate straight away. So, you've got, about 10 really awesome, great new trends.
That's
Let's
right.
highlight a few of them. I'm really interested in this device as the customer, a DAAC.
That's right. So this is the world of your fridge restocking yourself, and we've heard a lot of stories about the products that people already have. The coffee machines that can make an order by themselves at the moment. What we're basically seeing here, and that's why we're calling it device as a customer, we're seeing that the first time in history, it's not only humans making purchasing decisions, but it's also agents, whether it's devices or software, deciding I need to buy this, I need to buy that. And it's effectively creating a parallel retail market where questions such as how do you market to a fridge are becoming very important. The first iterations of those smart fridges that restock themselves, you will have to tell them, I need this particular type of milk, I need this particular type of cheese, and so on. But the future fridges will basically take your preferences into account, and then they will open up and say, I need a cheese that is, like this, like this, like that. Send your offers, right? So how do you market to a fridge?
And and how do you penetrate the algorithms, which is more importantly, I guess, is what you're behind it.
That's
but also
right.
we've got the category which are the devices that sit in appliances. But then we have this brand new category which is really hot at the moment, which is Alexa, which is Google Home, which is, I guess, the older versions of Siri and Cortana, which are really voice activated auto procurement, right, Michael?
I agree. They, however, still require consumer input. I think the fascination is if Alexa is not needed anymore, if the device acts on my behalf. And I guess what we would see is that what we've done in the past, vendor managed inventory, continuous replenishment, collaborative planning, things we learned from B2B are now transported to B2C. I become like a mini supermarket. I'm just like a little franchise. My fridge is like a little franchise, and my fridge will kind of engage in vendor managed inventory scenarios.
That's right. So just like organizations in the past realized that the core of their operations is not the processes, not the vendor management and so on, but really what they're good at, they decided to implement software in this space. I think individuals, the customers, are now realizing that retail is just a means to an end. In most cases, when I go shopping, I don't go shopping because I want to go shopping. I go shopping because I have a particular need that needs to be fulfilled, and the way the retail is done these days is effectively the only way I can do that.
But one of the other trends I really liked is consumers bringing their own data. So, Michael, tell us a little bit more. Unpack that for me.
So if I pick the convenience and experience example, in a simple way you could say, take care of my convenience. And the first solution was the fridge realizes now milk I replenish. The second stage is that the fridge might be able to negotiate. The third stage is that the fridge might actually inspire you. So my own data could say that's a sort of favorite meal, and my fridge or whatever device composes a menu for you. I hope you like this morning. I understand it's Friday night. I ordered this for you. And so I don't think we only will see convenience and the automation of convenience. I think the final destination and delight will be when algorithms can create experiences.
Wow, and that's almost at the cellular level. Cellular not as in mobile phone, but cellular as in my DNA.
Correct. So I would learn a lot about you, and this will be highly sophisticated algorithms where the
Wow.
fridge truly tries to impress you.
Wow,
Could
that's
you-
a relationship at a whole new level.
Could you imagine allowing your fridge to know your genome so
my
that
God.
it could order the products that are truly
Now I'm
best
seeing
for
Tinder
you,
for
right?
fridges, right? And it's really bad.
Tinder for
I'm
fridges.
thinking proactive retail. Like proactive's a very big theme for us generally at the PwC Chair on the Digital Economy. We've done proactive government. Now we're looking at the proactive retail experience. So, Marek, just unpack a little bit about what does proactivity mean?
So a proactive retailer is a retailer that is faster than the customers. So knowing having access to the digital signals that customers might be willing to share with the retailers. Maybe the fact that I went for a run in the morning, I can share the information with my retailer, and the retailer can proactively deliver a product to me. Could say, I'm not a big, fan of coconut milk, but some runners go for it after a run. So maybe the retailer would deliver a fresh bowl of coconut milk just after my run, or maybe while I'm running, someone would just hand it to me at the end of my run.
I was at the Future of Retail exhibit in Sydney last week, and one of the interesting questions we raised was ethical sourcing and how more individuals, but also corporates, are realizing that the power to change the world or to impress, I guess, their preferences on the world is often in the dollar that we spend at our supermarkets or we spend in our corporate relationships. And so as we get more technology or device automated, how do we exercise those ethical, environmental, personal preferences for buying locally, for buying organic, from buying from particular brands because of what their values represent, like the business of like a B Corp, the business of my profit business driving social change. How do we incorporate that into this new automation?
I mean, as an IT person, you could argue it's just another way of configuring business rules.
So I would ask 10 questions about me at the beginning that would understand I'm an ethical procurer, and it would then pivot me towards ethical investments.
I might understand it's you and your 5 kids, single income, and it's massive cost reduction, and you just don't have any income to tolerate social values that matter in your purchasing. So we just learn a lot about it and say, shop local, shop cheaply, inspire me. And so just what we call configuration engines. The washing machine, the car, the fridge will come with configuration engines. Learn on the fly or learn by being explicitly taught. And if this is important to you and say shop locally, shop from farmers or shop gluten-free, that will do whatever you want.
So it puts a whole new spin on, what used to look at a lot was the cost of acquisition of customer, right? Because now you're acquiring almost the channels within the technology. So it's the cost of algorithm penetration. There's some whole new metrics that's going to really, I know, drive you guys wildly excited. Okay, so let's summarize here for our listeners. So if I'm a retailer, so what? There's lots of change going on. Give me maybe 2 things each that you think we really need to focus on to be adequate and to be keeping up with Retail 5.0. Let's start with you, Marek.
Maybe to start with one that we haven't explicitly mentioned, though the discussion we had right now really highlighted that there's a shift from customer relationship management toward customer managed relationships.
Okay.
So the power is moving into the customer's hands, and this is where we will be saying this is what we want to have. This is how we want to work with retailers. So lesson number 1 for retailers is to understand that customers will have more power, more decisions to choose from various retailers. The question will be, how do I, as a retailer, fit into this picture?
Okay, good. And the other one that you're always big on is customers bringing their own data, which kind of relates to that, I guess.
That's exactly right. And bringing your own data might often mean that I just allow others to look at my data. So my data is with me, and then the retailers are allowed to have a pick at it whenever they want to offer me a product.
Okay, and Michael? Your 2 favorites.
Facing a new type of competition. So if you enter the space of individualization and personalization, you do not just deal with a completely reconditioned consumer, you also have a complete new breed of competitors. And those who are very close to the consumer, the Apples, the Amazons, the Google, they have the potential to become your first-tier retailer. And I can see a world where some retailers become only second-tier retailers. So at the moment, I'm exposed to you directly, but like what we see with the driverless car, there's a danger that some retailers become like a second-tier provider and lose the direct customer interface, and which would have tremendous negative implications for them and their customer insights. And you've got the layer in between, the big unicorns who become event broker, data brokers, become a complete new element in that sort of supply chain. And in the old days, we didn't have that sort of layer, but you have a complete new digital layer and classical retail supply chains.
That's right.
The second one is, we talked a lot about feasibility. We talked about technicalities, bring your own data, and so on. Desirability and viability. All of the things that we discussed. Do I really want to outsource my life to a fridge? And do I, as a retailer, still make money in all of this? And so we don't know a lot about the economics of this new Retail 5.0 environment. We see the technological capabilities and possibilities. We don't know what's the personal readiness of our consumers, what sort of target groups are ready for it, and the sort of business model's viability can have really create highly individualized supply chains with very personalized, quick delivery, and still have kind of profit line that satisfies me.
That's right.
Wow.
Emergence of a completely new market. So the device as a customer that we mentioned, this is going to be very big. Only in 2016 we've seen the first washing machines, dishwashers, even blood glucose monitors that self-replenish, order replenishments by themselves. Right now, this is more of a so-called walled garden approach. So that blood glucose monitor only orders the particular replenishments that it's programmed to do.
Yeah.
But it will start opening up. We will have more manufacturers creating devices that will be purchasing online. This is a completely new retail market, completely new questions, marketing, new distribution channels, integration. So for retailers, for players in this space, the big question for 2017 to me is how do you position yourself? How do you integrate in this new market?
Complex market.
Yeah.
Awesome. Retail 5.0, checking out the future. Thank you, Marek Kowalkiewicz, and thank you, Marek.
See you soon.
Thank you.